I was in the process of writing another long poem on a tape when the news of my wife's father's death came, and Phyllis went to South Jersey. I was teaching and didn't go, but I deeply cared for her father, and this morning I had come in from that walk thinking about that, and I just sat down and wrote the poem as part of the tape. Sometime later, Gerald Bullis, a dear friend of mine, said, "Why don't you take that part out?" Which I did, and called it Easter Morning. I was in Ithaca when the poem was written, but remembering New Hope, and the Eagles were in Ithaca, and that's where I took the walk. But it was under the pressure of feeling for my own family and Phyllis's family that I wrote the poem. I think that it has some strong emotion at places, and a kind of intensity that I think helps people realize what their grief feels like and what the loss of life and the gaining of life can mean. It has for me, I'm somewhat troubled by it because it was written as a part of a longer poem, and very long poems have a different meter and a different rhythm from short poems. This is a elongated poem, as if the walk could be pretty long, and so it doesn't have the rhythmical intensity and concision that I try to work into short poems. But on the other hand, it may be that room, that rhythmical room it has, is friendly to the reader and enables him to take the emotion more openly than a rigid concision would allow. So it's true that a lot of people like this poem. I just got a letter from Helen Bendler in which she had had dinner with a group of people, including a lawyer from Georgia. And following, she said, that dinner, though they didn't share anything about each other's experience, she sent him this poem, and he wrote back to her and told her it was exactly his feeling about certain things. So it touches people. It touched me. I cried through most of the writing of it, but I wrote it basically just the way it is. I think you can feel that it's not worked up, it's just written out. I meant for it to have the same kind of sacredness of the patterns, of the sap, of the cycles of nature, the dynamics of nature, and so forth that last through all our comings and goings. They remain kind of permanent. Easter morning. I have a life that did not become, but turned aside and stopped, astonished. I hold it in me like a pregnancy, or as on my lap a child, not to grow or grow old, but dwell on. It is to his grave I most frequently return, to ask what is wrong, what was wrong, to see it all by the light of a different necessity. But the grave will not heal, and the child, stirring, must share my grave with me, an old man having gotten by on what was left. When I go back to my home country in these fresh, faraway days, it's convenient to visit everybody, aunts and uncles, those who used to say, "Look how he's shooting up," and the trinket aunts, who always had a little something in their pocketbooks, cinnamon bark or a penny or nickel, and uncles who were the rumored fathers of cousins who whispered of them as of great, if troubled, presences, and school teachers, just about everybody older and some younger, collected in one place waiting particularly, but not for me, mother and father there too, and others close, close as burrowing under skin, all in the graveyard assembled, done for, the world they used to wield, have trouble and joy in, gone. The child in me that could not become was not ready for others to go on into change, blessings and horrors, but stands there by the road where the mishap occurred, crying out for help, come and fix this, or we can't get by. But the great ones who were to return, they could not or did not hear, and went on in a flurry, and now I say in the graveyard, here lies the flurry. Now it can't come back with help or helpful asides. Now we all buy the bitter incompletions, pick up the knots of horror, silently raving, and go on crashing into empty ends, not completions, not rongers the fullness has come into and spent itself from. I stand on the stump of a child, whether myself or my little brother who died, and yell as far as I cannot leave this place, for me it is the dearest and the worst. It is life nearest to life, which is life lost. It is my place where I must stand and fail, calling attention with tears to the branches not lofting boughs into space, to the barren air that holds the world that was my world. Though the incompletions and completions burn out, standing in the flash, high burn, momentary structure of ash, still it is a picture book, letter perfect Easter morning. I have been for a walk. The wind is tranquil. The brook works without flashing in an abundant tranquility. The birds are lively with voice. I saw something I had never seen before. Two great birds, maybe eagles, black-winged, white-necked and headed, came from the south, oaring the great wings steadily. They went directly over me, high up, and kept due north. But then one bird, the one behind, veered a little to the left, and the other bird kept on seeming not to notice for a minute. The first began to circle as if looking for something, coasting, resting its wings on the downside of some of the circles. The other bird came back, and they both circled, looking perhaps for a draft. They turned a few more times, possibly rising, at least clearly resting, then flew on, falling into distance till they broke across the local bush and trees. It was a sight of bountiful majesty and integrity, the having patterns and roots, breaking from them to explore other patterns or better ways to roots, and then the return. A dance sacred as the sap in the trees, permanent in its descriptions as the ripples round the brook's ripplestone, fresh as this particular flood of burn breaking across us now from the sun.